Hi and welcome. I just got home from work and it's still bright outside, and I thought I just want to take advantage of this lighting to just kind of make a random bookish video for today. So this video is just gonna be like something very random. I'm just gonna talk about what books I have read and what books I'm currently reading and or books I will be reading. What am I up to in terms of my reading life? And also I'm gonna talk about a little bit about what I just got recently. May or may not be exciting. I don't know. But if you think it is, stay tuned. First of all, about the books that I have read. So I just finished this one particular book which I thought was really wonderful. I read it for Women in Translation Month, which is a kind of a themed event thingy that is going on in August. And that book was Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. So this book was translated by Ginny Tapli Takemori, and I thought that this book is really wonderful. I really enjoyed it. It is a story about a woman who works at a convenience store. She has been working there for 18 years, and also at the same time, she's not exactly the kind of a person who excels at social cues. She's a bit awkward when it comes to social situations, but she's very good at being a convenience store worker. However, she has been receiving inputs from her friends and family about her professional life, and at one point she actually kind of felt a little bit of doubts in who she is and her own ability as a person and also as a member of the society. So I think it's a really wonderful book that talks a lot about expectations of people in society, and depending on who you are, you'll get a lot of this kind of pressure from people around you, and I think this book talks about that like really wonderfully, and I really enjoyed it. Talking about Women in Translation Month, I also am planning to read other books, but I'm not going to talk about those books here, all of those books here, because I actually have a video that specifically talks about that. So I'm just gonna link it down in the description box below, so you can check it out if you want. But currently, I'm also reading this one book that is also for women in translation, and I think it has been quite wonderful so far. So that book is The Ravishing of Lolstein by Marguerite Duras. This book was originally in French and it was translated into the English by Richard Seaver. So this book is kind of about this woman who had this bad thing happening to her in the past. Basically, she was abandoned by her fiance, and soon after she got married to another person, and then she had kids, and I think 10 years later she came back to that place where the whole drama with her fiance happened, and I'm not sure what other things that are going to happen, but basically she starts to kind of have showing some strange interest in her best friends or her former best friend's relationship. Things kind of start to get awkward, at least that's what I feel when I read this book. So I think this book is, so far it has been kind of nice. I'm not sure what's gonna happen. I'm halfway through it, so we'll just wait and see. Another book that I'm currently reading is a Malaysian book translated into the English. This one is Asa Mat Said's The Morning Post. This book was originally in Malay. It was translated by Hawa Abdullah, and this book is about a person who is kind of like a boss in a newspaper agency, and he has been experiencing some sort of mental conditions where he would kind of goes into this catatonic or paralyzed state where he's totally not functioning, and at the same time he would hallucinate about having his other newspaper agency, where I believe he seems to have more freedom running. This book actually takes place sometime, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the 70s or 80s or so. I think it's earlier than that, where newspapers are still being published by using typesetting instead of typewriters, and there were definitely no computers back then. So the story itself takes place quite a few years ago. So I think that's interesting. However, I do think that this book is a little bit heavy to me. I mean, it is physically kind of heavy for its size, but the content is slightly heavy. So I'm taking my time with this one. I might not read this as quickly as I would love to, but I think it's worth reading. Although if the time is not right for me to read this book right now, I might just drop it, put it down for a while, and then pick it up later. So those are the books that I kind of chose for myself to read. I'm also joining a group read this month, and the group read is organized by Jyotsna, and she basically is organizing this group read because August is also the month of India's Independence Day. So I think that's a really nice theme. She kind of organized a poll for the books to read for this group read event, where she featured books written by Indian authors. And so the book that was chosen was A Fine Balance by Rohinton Mistry. And this is the first week of the group read. I think based on the length that we're supposed to read in the first week, I do think that it's quite ambitious for me, because if I manage to read the 4 chapters that we're supposed to read in this week, then I would have actually read 190 or 170 plus pages. So I think that's gonna be an astonishing achievement for me. To think that usually I would just read I would actually take 1 week to read a 190 page book. So if I could do that with this book while reading other things, did I mention that I actually have other buddy reads also? That's gonna be quite personally astounding. I really need to treat myself if I manage to do that. Yeah, so like I said earlier, I had a couple of buddy reads this month also. The first one was actually one that I started sometime in July. We are in our 3rd week right now, and that group read is for Kiran Desai's The Inheritance of Loss, and that is with Sutan. So I'll link her channel down below as well. You should check her out. We are doing this book. It doesn't have a cover. Here it is, the dust jacket. This is kind of my habit with hardcover books. I don't like to read them with the dust jackets attached, because dust jackets are kind of annoying. Although I do think that hardcover books are kind of bougie. So far, I would say that the Inheritance of Loss is an okay book. We are in our 3rd week, and so I personally think that the book talks a lot about really heavy subjects: immigration, racism, xenophobia to a certain extent, displacement, loss of identity, really, really crazy stuff. And it's kind of ambitious, I think to me, based on the themes that it's trying to explore, I kind of have the worry that it might get a little bit too heavy-handed with trying to portray the themes. But I'm not even half into the book, so I hope that it'll become better and better. So yeah, that's like my hope for this book. And another buddy read that I just started this week is with Kim from K Becker's Books, and we are doing Jonathan Strange and Mr Norrell by Susanna Clarke. And let me tell you that this book is humongous. So we plan to do this over the span of 2 months, hopefully less than 2 months, because we plan to read this 2 chapters per day and 5 days per week. So hopefully we will finish this before the end of September. So I have this Bloomsbury Modern Classics copy. It's a paperback, and I think I would consider this as my kind of a first fantasy novel. I mean, I've read fantasy novels before when I was a kid, when I read middle grade books, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them were fantasy, but I kind of forgot all of them right now. They were like really long time ago. I've read a few pages of this, and I think I kind of like the writing. So yeah, let's see how this go. Also, again, a very big book. If I manage to read this according to plan, I think I am going to be really impressed by myself. So those are the things that are just kind of like currently happening with me. And I also did a little bit of purchase lately, some really interesting ones. I'm not going to talk about all of them as usual. I'm just going to take some sampling on what I bought. So the first book, which I thought was kind of interesting, I've always been kind of interested in reading this book. I saw it at the bookstore one time, but it was a little bit too expensive. I wanted to be, or at least I wanted to try to be a little bit thrifty at the time, so I didn't get it. So I got this used copy that I found online. It's by Elizabeth Strout. This is Olive Kitteridge, and I don't know. I'm not sure. I just felt like I want to read this book. This book was a Pulitzer Prize winner, I think, and yeah, it's Pulitzer Prize for Fiction winner for the year 2009. And I'm not sure exactly what this book is about, because I also minimized my research on this, but the blurb seems to be saying that this book is that the character Olive is a retired school teacher, which I think is kind of strange based on the cover, because a retired school teacher isn't exactly someone I would imagine when I see this kind of image. And not that I think that a retired school teacher cannot dress like this or pose like this or be like this, but it's just that it does feel a little bit strange. So those of you who have read this book, maybe you'll have an idea like why this book has this cover. Maybe something is happening inside it so that this cover is appropriate. I just find it a little bit strange, but it does not diminish my interest in this book. Another book that I got was a romance, and this one is by, I think it's an Australian author, Kate Grenville, The Idea of Perfection. And again, I did not do much research on what this book is about, but seems to be a romance. And from what I've read about this book, like roughly skimmed through the reviews, it seems to involve some kind of bridge. And sure enough, there's a bridge on the cover. and it's a romance. I guess those are the only details that I can be sure of. Actually, I'm not even sure about the bridge details, but yeah, I think that's kind of enough. I kind of like romance once in a while, and seems to be kind of interesting. Yeah, it's and the story seems to take place at a small town, so yeah, that's nice. And last but not least is a book with a rather crazy premise. I think it's by Lionel Shriver. We need to talk about Kevin. Like I said, the book seems to have like a really crazy thing going on because it's about the mom of a boy who ends up becoming a mass shooter, a school shooter, and I think it's gonna be quite heavy. It's gonna be quite serious, and I hope it is a compelling book because it seems to involve like this really grave, really serious subject, and I want to know how how the writer handles that kind of story. I think it's going to be quite interesting. That's it so far for this video, and so I guess I'll see you again in another video. So until then, take care and bye.